Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about my self-destructing books. So you guys might notice that I have done a couple videos involving self-destructing books recently, and that is because I started one in March, basically because this is when Becca posts her video and it triggered that I should probably do this. And I started in March because she started in March, but I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I recently changed it to January, December. Like I'm going to go through the whole year with the other books. Not that it didn't have a year, but March to March was a little strange for me and my brain didn't like it. So that's why we have the other ones already posted. I will link those down below for my self-destructing books for 2025. This is the results video. This is the results video for my self-destructing books for 2024. Did I read them? No, I didn't. Did I put series that I own in here so that I would be forced to start these series, at least start them? Yes, I did. Am I unhauling these series because I didn't read them? Yes, I am. So let's go ahead and start. My first pick for my self-destructing books is The Wayfarer Redemption by Sarah Douglas. Now, I've owned this for the longest time, and I liked the idea of a Game of Thrones-esque series written by a woman, and this came before Game of Thrones. So I really wanted to read it, and then I didn't. I've had this book for years. I've had this series for years, and I have never once picked it up and said, that's the book I want to read. I don't know why, because if you know me, grimdark, Game of Thrones, those are types of books that I like to read, even though I don't like George R.R. Martin. We don't need to go there just yet. But I picked it up just knowing that that was the series for me, and never did I read it. I didn't read it at all last year, so I am unhauling the series, which makes me a little sad, but also frees up a ton of space on my shelves because there are 4 hardback books coming off the shelves. I have already reorganized my shelves, so I've already moved it, but you know, with what I've been going through, I didn't feel like filming when I did that, so I apologize for that, but I have already moved everything. The next one is The Immortal Prince by Jennifer Fallon. Again, a series that I own and I never read. And I can't tell you why I never picked this one up, but these were on my self-destructing books for a reason. These are books that I purchased a long time ago, never read them, obviously thought I was going to like them, but then when the time came and I needed to pick a new series to read, it was not this one. But I'd owned it for like 5 years. And again, I am going to be unhauling the 3 books I own from this series. I don't know if it's a trilogy, but I only own 3 and gonna go ahead and get rid of them. I do still own Metalon though. That is one that I do still want to read, and I do like Dragon Riders. Oh, that reminds me. Magical Readathon is coming up and I need a Dragon Rider book, or I need a dragon book. Could put Metalon on that. And here is where I have to admit something. My books are supposed to be to self-destructing this month. I have unhauled this series from my shelves. However, Dragon Champion is on my Magical Readathon list. Why? Because I own the audiobook. So I do still have it in my possession, but it is in an unhaul pile. And I have not touched these books since I purchased them, so I am going to unhaul the physical books. And if I end up loving them, well, I can repurchase them. But they've been on my shelves for forever. And I unhauled not only the Dragon Champion series, but the YA that was kind of tied to this series. This is from the POV of a dragon. So I wanted to go ahead and put it in for my Magical Readathon because, like I said, I own the audiobook. So I will be reading or listening to the audiobook of Dragon Champion next month, but I am unhauling the physical books. Next, Iced Forge by Gail Z. Martin. This is one I actually read, and unfortunately I didn't like it. It's about a penal colony, and that's all I remember. It's about a penal colony. There's a lot of political intrigue in it, but it's not the type of political intrigue I like. There's a lot of backdoor dealing. It's not the type of backdoor dealing that I like. So I kind of just found myself really bored with this first book. And so I unhauled the series already. It's no longer here. And I do still think that I could like Gail Z. Martin. I do think that her Necromancer series might be for me. Also in Ice Forge, there was a vampire character that I was not prepared for, but it didn't save the series. It didn't save the book, in my opinion. Especially, I like vampires of a certain flavor, and that's not my type of vampire. But and I do like the romantic, like romance type vampires, but that's not my favorite type of vampire either. So um, I unhauled these already. They are gone. They no longer exist in my library. Next is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, and this is the type of vampire that I do like. So I was pleasantly surprised by this one. I actually ended up really loving this book. It is on my YA shelves now. I will be keeping it because, again, I just loved it. The main character in this one is not so edgy and not like it didn't read like all of the other Holly Black books, which is the problem I have been having with Holly Black, is all of her books read the same. This one did not, and I do like Holly Black's writing, so it seemed natural to go ahead and hold on to it because I do love the Cruel Prince trilogy, and I do love this book. So it makes sense to hold on to the ones that I do really enjoy. Now, the rest of Holly Black, am I banning her from my library forever? I don't know. I don't know. I am still hesitant to pick up a Holly Black. I might wait for other people to read it and tell me if I should read it, but I do know that I am not going to read any books following Book of Night. I believe that's the book series she recently started. I don't think I'm going to pick up any more of The Folk of the Air, even though I love the Cruel Prince duology. The secondary trilogy read too much of the same for me. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes with Holly Black. But I did love The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. And then next, I read Blood Heir. Again, not unhauling this one because I absolutely loved it. This is one of the best young adult fantasy series I have read in a really long time. I did recently purchase the third book of this trilogy, so I own all three now, and I should be reading the third book very soon. It hasn't made my magical readathon TBR, but I might see if I can try and fit it in. I really love this series. I love it, and it was purchased for me from a Secret Santa exchange on Andrew's Wizardly Reads Discord, and the person who sent it to me said they absolutely loved it. It was a slept-on series, and I agree. I agree. So incredibly good. The Hellfire Club is going. I didn't read it. I have no desire to read it. I've owned it for way too long, so bye-bye. Unfortunately, the first binding is leaving my library. I do still own the audiobook. I don't know if this is a series I should listen to on audio, like just by itself. This is a series I would like to tandem read, like do an immersive read of it, have the audio while I'm reading, but I've owned it since it released and I still haven't read it, and I don't want to because I love The Name of the Wind. Love The Name of the Wind. We've talked about it. There's a Kavoth poster behind you guys right here. So yeah, I lost my desire to read it when everyone said how similar it was to The Name of the Wind, and I have nothing else to say. Kingbreaker is going. I don't have any thoughts because I still haven't picked up that or Godspeaker or her other series. Like I haven't read any of it. I've not read any Karen Miller. I'm losing my desire to do so simply because I don't know if Karen Miller is actually the author for me. And I keep trying, like, this wouldn't necessarily be considered classic fantasy, but she writes in the vein of classic fantasy, and I really don't like classic fantasy. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I do know that a couple of my friends that do like Karen Miller, I don't like the books that they like. So that might be what has put me off to these, but I'm going to go ahead and let go of Kingbreaker, and probably Godspeaker. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that, but that's kind of where I am right now. And then Dead Iron. I've owned this series for a long time. It is steampunk Wild West. I did think I would really enjoy it, but for some reason, I never picked it up. And I don't know if it was an out of sight, out of mind thing because it got put into the closet. You guys have seen my library tours before, so you know what I'm talking about. But, or if you haven't, I have a closet that's full of books. Every time I thought about picking it up, there's a series that I absolutely love by Cal Black called No Port in a Storm. That's not the series name, but the first book is No Port in a Storm. No. The first book is No Land for Heroes. I'm reading No Port in a Storm. And I love that series. And I think it felt a little too similar to that series. Not that I think either was a copy of the other, but it just, I would rather read the Cal Black. And since neither one of them have audiobooks, I have to sit down and read them physically, and I'd rather read the Cal Black series. So when I thought about books like that, it was Cal Black I went to, not this series. I hope that makes sense because it makes sense in my brain. That is my self-destructing books and what I have done with them. Most of them I am unhauling, which is a little sad. But I don't feel pressured to read these series anymore, which is great. I do need to film an unhaul because I have done 2 unhauls without filming anything. That is because my library is going to move soon. You guys know this. And I have a lot of books. I have, you know, those Aldi bags. I double stack them and I have one that is overflowing. So I don't know how many books are in there, but it's quite a bit. That is it for my video today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.